Welcome to the Property Management Mastermind Show with your host, Brad Larson. Brad owns one of the fastest growing property management companies in San Antonio, Texas. This podcast is for property managers by property managers. You'll hear from industry-leading professionals on best practices, new ideas, success stories, and lessons learned. This is your opportunity to learn about the latest industry buzz surrounding property management, as well as tips and strategies to improve your business. Now here's your host, Brad Larson.
Hello everyone, this is Brad Larson, host of the Property Management Mastermind podcast. To see a complete list of the offers and discounts we have worked to provide, visit our website at propertymanagementmastermind.com. In there you will find additional discounts from Tenant Turner, Citizen Home Solutions, PMW websites, and several others. Also be sure to check out our Seminar and Conferences tab, where we highlight different conferences going around the country, business and property management related. Lastly, be sure to seek out the Facebook group we have started and become a member. In that group, the PM community at large, to include vendors, are welcome to join. Hello everyone, we wanted to offer you a brief introduction to our newest product on the propertymanagementmastermind.com site. It's called the Business Development Toolkit. In 2017, RentWerx organically grew by over 360 plus homes. In 2018, we are on pace to grow another 500 homes. All of this has been without any acquisitions, by going out to meet the people and earn the business one at a time. This toolkit will provide you all the marketing materials, business development scripts, and follow-up plans in a format you can modify and use. The biggest part of this toolkit is we give you the Lead Simple follow-up plan. Now, using Lead Simple as your contact resource management platform, combined with implementing our follow-up plan, will give you a launching pad to build your business. This was over 2 years in the making, pulling bits and pieces from the best companies in the industry. It comes with a 100% money-back guarantee if you are not completely satisfied with this product. Check out our site at propertymanagementmastermind.com to learn more about this new business development toolkit. Hey everybody, I want to give you a quick introduction to this episode with Gwenn Aspen from Anaquim, and she's going to be talking to us about sourcing Mexican talent to help you as team members. So some people call them virtual assistants. We like to call them virtual team members, but essentially she's going to show you and help you understand a little bit more about working with folks in Mexico to help you run your property management business. It's really interesting. We highly endorse it. We have 9 particular team members that work with us that are stationed in Mexico, live in Mexico. So it's a great interview to learn more about this with Gwenn, and she gives you a discount code at the end for BRAD to get a discount. So listen up. And welcome everybody to another edition of the Property Management Mastermind Show. I'm your host, Brad Larson, and today's guest, I have Gwenn Aspen. Gwenn, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on here, Brad. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I've been chasing you for this thing for months, literally months, like 6 months or so. I've been bugging you to come on the show. You got to tell everybody the story about this because we've just been so happy. This has been a game changer for us. So I gave a little bit of quick intro before we got on the call here. And so to kind of circle back, I want you to introduce yourself, kind of who you are, what you do, and talk to us more about Anaquim and solutions you have.
Sure. So my name is Gwenn Aspen, and I have my own property management company with my husband called Wistar Group in Omaha, Nebraska. We manage about 1,300 units. And we started up this new company called Anaquim about 2 years ago. And we source remote assistance from Mexico for property management companies. At least that was where it's all started. And we got into this because back in 2008, when the economy went to, went to hell, I guess. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Went to hell. Things were bad in the United States, but it was even worse in Mexico. And my husband's friend called him from Mexico and said, "You think it's bad in the US, you should come down here and see what I'm going through." So she asked him if there was any way she could possibly work for him from Mexico. So when she called, he figured out how to send a VoIP phone down there. Those were brand new at the time, and just had her answer our phone calls. And it went so great that we started hiring all her friends. And then we just operated that way till like 2016. And then in 2016, we had our friends from Boutique Property Management in Denver call us, and they were like, "Hey, this Mexico thing's working out so well for you. Can you hook us up?" And we said, sure. And then they loved it. And then ever since then, we've been helping property management companies not only source amazing talent from Mexico, but work through any kinks that may be in it and just make sure the relationship works for the long run. So that's a big part of our business at Anaquim is sourcing and keeping the relationship going and developing the remote assistance. And then in addition to that, it's also grown into a call center for maintenance calls 24/7, specifically for rent manager clients, and a leasing line for rent manager clients. So it's really grown into a lot of new things. It's been a total blast.
I really love it. And I'll give some more background. So you and I met at a NARPM convention. You were, your husband, Jeremy, you were sitting down for lunch. I was sitting down for lunch and you guys were, I just started a conversation with you guys. Hey, where y'all from? We're from Omaha. And, okay, great. I grew up in Western Iowa. You're from Omaha. We kind of have a connection there. And so we just started talking. And next thing you know, I started hearing more about this Mexican thing. Now you got to tell the story of how Jeremy, your husband, owner of Wistar, co-founder of Anaquim, tell me more about how his relationship in Mexico started, because he worked down there. So tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah. So Jeremy worked in transportation and logistics for many years before he went into property management. And through that process, he moved all over the country. And then his second to final stop while he was in that industry was in Chihuahua, Mexico. And he lived there for 5 years, corn-fed guy from Omaha, Nebraska. So that was quite an opportunity and very exciting for him. And he just really learned about doing business down there, contracts in Mexico, how people work in business in Mexico. And it really was the launching pad for us to be able to create what we've created, because we had to last year become a full Mexican company. And we would have to have a few beers to talk about how that whole process went down, but it wasn't like the easiest thing in the world.
I can imagine. I can assume all the weird things that you would have to go through in Mexico. It probably didn't make a lot of sense to the American markets, where, you have to go bribe the local mayor and then take family to dinner to get a card, and the card says you can operate and do business in that particular vicinity. It's just probably a lot of down-home stuff there. It was
interesting. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was very, very interesting, but because he had the background and speaks perfect Spanish, he could really talk to them about the contracts they were giving us. We started with 10 firms to help us create this company, and just about everybody tried to do us wrong, except for like 1 or 2 firms. And then anyway, it was just crazy. It was insane. So right now we do have a real Mexican company. And what that does for our clients is we can source people from normal traditional ways. Like we can use all the internet sites. We can go to universities. We're going to 2 job fairs at mid-September in Aguascalientes and Guadalajara at the university there to find people. So we're able to source amazing talent and, the people that you would want, people who are like expecting benefits, right? So all of our employees get healthcare, they get a housing allowance, which is customary there. They get 2 weeks Christmas bonus, and they pay taxes. So they're all above board people. And if you want people who are going to do great work, who are going to be honest, I really believe that above board type of thing helps get just the most amazing talent you could possibly want in Mexico.
You helped us get our foot in the door there. And so we've built up to where we have 9 full-time team members in Mexico. And it's been a tremendous thing because, one, it's very cost effective. The talent we get there is tremendous. And so to give you some feedback, and then we talked about this before, is you look at other places around the globe and other cultures. And so what you're going to find is some other cultures, and I don't want to name names as far as other cultures, but they're not as aggressive and or intuitive as what you would find in sourcing talent in Mexico. It just seems like we are able to find very intelligent folks, one Skype call or one Zoom call or a GoToMeeting call, and you can see the lights are on when you talk to them, or you can see that they're not. It's all in central time zone, so that helps on the VoIP side. But also the biggest thing is we're able to give them our intent. Like our intent is for you guys, for you 2 particular individuals to help run our maintenance team. or for you two to work with us as inside salespeople. Those types of kind of boundaries help define what they're supposed to do. And in a lot of cases, they just get it and take off with it. And they're actually looking for more things. So one of the gents that I did hire, you helped us hire, is still with us. Well, they're all with us. No one has left us. So luckily, this is 2.5 years later now. Think about that. 2.5 years later, we finally get a chance to talk about this further. But I want to make a point is one of the gents, his name is Arturo. He's actually now the leader of our team in that region. And we call them team members. And I've said this before on other podcasts, is because I don't consider them virtual assistants, right? Virtual assistants has this weird connotation about it, like it's some sort of, person in Indochina on a backroom computer working for you. No, these are folks that answer our phones. They're on our website. They have pictures. They have bios. They're real folks. They're on our website pages with Facebook and stuff. I mean, they're just team members like you or I sitting in an Omaha office versus them sitting in Agua Caliente at their home office. And so before you get too far, I'm going to answer one of the other questions that's going to be burning for the other property managers out there listening is, how much does it cost? So let's talk about that. And then let's talk about in relation to what, we think it could be. Go ahead.
Sure. So our price, so we have $1,000 deposit, and that just ensures that like if you were to hire somebody, they quit their job in a third world country, and then right before they get started, you're like, oh no, thanks. We would give them that $1,000. And then, or like for invoices, we just clean up the invoices, take from the deposit, give you the rest of the money back if the relationship were over for some reason. So it's $1,000 deposit, but then it's just an hourly rate. Hourly rates range from $7.65 an hour up to $11.50 an hour. And what you get for $7.65 an hour is someone who's been in customer service. Because a lot of the jobs people do, we do a lot of different job profiles, but property management has customer service in it in all places. So that's an important component. You're going to get someone who's worked at Comcast or GE or Nissan, taking phone calls from Americans in the past. But maybe that's pretty much been the majority of their job.
Yeah, there to interrupt you, the $1,000 deposit makes a total lot of sense for me because you are outsourcing talent. So you don't want to get your time wasted. And then it shows the other side that they're serious as well. So it's kind of it's a necessary evil. It just got to be that way. I think it's completely fair. And so the rate of pay, and I want you to jump in on me here if this is not an accurate statement. So just rounded to a monthly cost. So let's say it costs, or let's say not the cost. Let's say they were compensated $1,000 per month, which is rounding. It could be rounding up. It could be rounding down, depending on the translation of the money with the peso and the dollar. But it's like paying them an equivalent to roughly $8,000 or $10,000 US. So, so if you think you're getting some sort of, slave laborers, and they're not. Because it's all relative. What you're paying them is super good there. They are very well paid, safe environment, work from home, like what they're doing. That's why we haven't lost any of them in 2.5+ years. And we feel they've all done a great job, and they keep doing a great job because I think they realize, hey, this is a good situation for me. They don't have to travel an hour one way to work, an hour back one way. And the hours some of them were working, they were working from 7 to 7 there. And so,
oh yeah, the environment, the average American company treats them so much better than the average Mexican company. So if you just are average in the way that you treat your employees, they're going to be over the moon and think that you're amazing. Obviously we all want to be wonderful managers, but just to give a benchmark of how they're typically treated in Mexico, is very poor. And so to work from home is a huge advantage, and to just be treated like a human being, like Americans generally do for their employees. And then in addition, the pay and benefits, they get benefits working for us. This is a job people don't want to lose. And they know that this is as good as it gets. We've been doing this since 2008, and we've lost very few people, very few. We still have tenure of 6 years of service. I just had my executive assistant up to Michigan. We were at Michigan for a while. She came up to Michigan and hung out with us for 4 days while we trained her a little bit while we were up there. So, I mean, these are like long-term relationships, and you're going to feel not only are they a team member, but they're like your friends, and you just depend on them so much. So it's just been so beneficial to our growth as a property management company to use labor in Mexico. I can't even say enough about it.
The difference to me, and I got to illustrate this, and I'm going to ask a really good question. What can they do? But let me illustrate this point, because the things that you're getting is we're getting some English speakers that are like fluent. I mean, several of the ones that we were able to find through you, they grew up in the States, you know, they went to high school in Kansas somewhere, and they live in Aguascalientes because it's a really nice place to live from what I hear. And I think you visited there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been there, and I'm going back. I'll be there 2 more times this year. Aguascalientes is a fairly safe area for Mexico, and it seems a lot like any Midwestern city you might go to in the United States. But you're absolutely right. They've lived in the United States, and what that gives the clients or property management companies is that even the structure of our houses and what our houses are made of and our maintenance terminology is not so out of this world for them. They kind of understand what housing is like in the United States. And I think that gives us a huge advantage over places that are, in East Asia, where they've never been to a U.S. home and know anything about how our homes operate.
Yeah, what they can do via phone has been phenomenal, because a lot of them speak very, very good English. And that's my point where I'm going with that.
Yes.
The English speaking capabilities really make the difference. And also they've lived here or have lived around the US. They're in the same continent. I mean, come on, they're pretty close. So let's open this up for you. Tell me, what can they do as far as what's the range? I mean, you've sourced talent from IT to bookkeeping to sales to, keep going.
So, the funny thing, as you were saying before, Brad, people have these weird visions of what virtual labor is capable of. But really, we've just decided that there are 0 limits to virtual labor. It's anything that can be done in front of a computer. And that's how we've always operated our property management company. So we typically, our biggest thing that we source is a customer service office administrator. That for a smaller property management company, that's like the perfect shoe-in to trying the remote labor. And so that's somebody who's going to answer the questions. You give them FAQs, they can answer 80% of the questions that come in just from your FAQs. And without transferring it to you, bothering anybody, and that's a huge weight off a lot of property managers' shoulders. And then they can also do, lease renewals. They can do utility verification. They can get applications verified, ask and then follow up. Hey, we need your proof of income. We need a landlord reference. They can do maintenance service issues, put them in the system, ask great questions, make sure you get a good scope of work. And so that's customer service basically in a box. There are far more things that people have them do, but
yeah, so let's go through that. So what we have ours do, so we can give you some context to answer this question.
Sure.
So we have 2 answering our frontline phones. So they're taking all the inbound phone calls. Hey, I want to check out the price in that rental home, and they answer the question. They just look it up on the website. They have access to the MLS. They have our frequently asked questions. They can help answer the basic questions. They have access to our software through Appfolio. So they have access to all those means to answer the questions. And after a while, they just start to kind of get it. You provide a little bit of training. I'm going to go down that road with you a little bit. Let's talk training in a while. But, there's 2 that do the frontline phones, 2 do our maintenance phone lines. So they handle all the inbound, outbound phone calls to do the maintenance stuff. And you can imagine, that's a big headache, because people are calling in, they want to submit a maintenance request. Okay, well, that's something that they can do very easily and help people with. Now, here's one of the cool things that we do with our frontline phone folks is they call to verify that our maintenance work orders have been completed through a Net Promoter Score, NPS score. And so one of them, as soon as a work order is completed, another one outside of the maintenance realm calls and says, hey, did everything go okay? How was the work order? Did it, get completed and all that stuff? And they get an NPS score and they record that in SurveyMonkey. The coolest thing about that is we're getting live people calling for a survey. Any more of the text messages or the email surveys are just white noise junk that people hate and want to get thrown out. They can't stand it any longer. So this is one of the cool things that is done. So 2 that do maintenance, 2 that do inside sales. We have 2 project folks, and I'm probably forgetting a couple of things that they're doing, but really we've just been real happy. So now I'll transition into the biggest question someone to ask you is, well, what do we do for training? How do we train them?
So I actually, for my people, I train the first day. So the first thing that we train on is how to track their time, because that is how they get paid. One of the other features that our business offers is that you can see screenshots and the keystrokes of all your individuals. So, if you had somebody who was watching Planet of the Apes while they were supposed to be working, we could all tell. So they know it from the front end. I'm like, I don't want to see you buying baby furniture on Amazon. Like, I don't want to see that. So that really, I believe the checker gets what the checker checks. And so both our clients and us have that capability. But so we talk about time tracking. Then we go over ethics in the industry, general call etiquette, taking a maintenance call, just getting it all in. We go over how to ask for online reviews, very, very important. We also go over the 4 ways someone could die in property management. So that's carbon monoxide poisoning, natural gas explosion, fire, and a technician being mistaken for an intruder and getting shot. So, I live in a red state, so it's kind of important. And so we go over all those 4 things. We go through Fair Housing and American Disabilities Act. And I also do a little module on how to add additional value once they are a role model at their operational tasks. Because we do want these people, they stay longer if they're really engaged and feel part of the team. And a lot of the times they have wonderful ideas on how to improve your processes and procedures. And I just want to give them a little bit more confidence to, say, hey, not all ideas are all good ideas, but I thought maybe we could do this or that. So I talked to them a little bit about that. And in that training, I do just a slight bit of cultural training about how Americans like questions, because a lot of time they're maybe a little trepidatious about asking questions, and some other cultural things that just may come up here and there.
Let's bring that up real quick. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No problem.
Let's talk about the accent thing. And let's just, get the elephant out of the room on that one, because that's always going to be a hang up where folks think that, oh, that person has an accent. Well, if they do, it's slight, that I have seen, the ones that, are proficient in speaking English. It's a slight accent, but it's a Spanish accent. Now, I live in South Texas, so a slight Spanish accent is not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to turn off owners or clients or customers or tenants, like maybe an Indian accent might. And I don't want to pick on them, but I'm just saying an Eastern accent where it's a little bit more difficult for the American ear to understand versus that Spanish accent. Oh, and don't forget, by the way, they're bilingual. So if your trades are, Spanish speaking, or your tenants are Spanish speaking, like we get a bunch of here in San Antonio, it's also a huge benefit.
Oh yeah, I think it's a huge benefit. And I just long time ago decided a slight accent didn't matter. I believe that excellence is the best deterrent to racism and sexism. So I just believe in training people really well. And if they're really good at their job, no one cares about a Mexican or Spanish accent.
Yeah, we've had 0 complaints in the 2.5 years from that. It's because it's self-evident. I mean, they're doing a good job. They're on the phone to help people. And that's what's been really helpful for us is covering the phones. I mean, it's so difficult to do that because we believe in redundancy. So I'd rather have 2 folks stationed there in Mexico covering our frontline phones all the time because they're redundancy, right? Okay, one goes to the doctor and the other one covers. But what happens if you have that here in the States? And how much does that cost?
Oh, yeah.
It's literally, if you start doing the math for what a front desk person costs, and then a person to come in and cover down on that frontline person for a day off, it's literally 3 to 4 times more than what you would get on an expense-wise from hiring somebody with you in Mexico. I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Absolutely. The other benefit is we're in a competitive environment, where there are lots of property management companies. If you have someone answering the phone live compared to like a phone tree that's really hard to get through to anyone, you're going to win on those online reviews. And like you were saying, you do real surveys about how the maintenance was done. And they don't have to be long. You can just do a 1 question, 1 through 5. How was your latest service with us? And people don't mind answering a 1 question survey. And if you're doing that, you're providing amazing service.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what's really powerful about that, Gwen, is a voicemail. So let's say we call and don't get the customer on the phone. We leave a voicemail. Hi, this is RentWerx. We're calling to follow up on your maintenance work order, et cetera, et cetera. The voicemail is hugely powerful. I mean, when was the last time you stayed at a hotel and they called your mobile phone and said they just wanted to check in to see how your stay was, or a VRBO or an Airbnb? I mean, that stuff, even if you don't take the call, just to hear the voicemail that says they actually give a darn, at least enough to call you, that's impressive. That's very impressive for service.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we've been doing those surveys for a long time as well. And the only reason we've been able to do them is because we do source the labor from Mexico. And I do think that that's allowed us to grow more than we ever would have, just because we can have that personal touch.
Agreed. So let's talk some of the range that they can go back to. Now, I know I'm beating this dead horse because we already kind of touched on it briefly, but things that we were talking about a year and a half ago, Gwen, what else can they be doing? Well, they can be doing collection calls. They can be doing inside sales. They can be doing your numbers, your bookkeeping. I mean, talking about some of the things they can do, because it's one thing to say they can do anything, but it's another thing to throw out the ideas, because that's where the business owners start to think, man, what if they could do my collection calls?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the biggest game changer for us has been doing the assistant property management role, because our property managers have been able to double their portfolio size because they have someone behind a desk all day getting back to those owners very quickly. Maybe there's a big maintenance thing that has to happen, like they have to replace a water heater, and they can go back and forth about which water heater, what they're going to do, while my property manager is checking on turns, so they're out in the field while the assistant is getting all that office work done. And the best benefit is that our property managers don't get burned out like they did in the past, because they have help. And when they come home at night at 5 o'clock, they don't have 100 emails that they've got to get to. So the doubling of the portfolio and that assistant property manager role, which is a higher end of customer service. So they take the more complicated customer service issues with the tenants. They work out budgets for turns or larger maintenance issues. They can talk through a P&L with an owner and look at all the documentation and walk them through that. And they do a great job, and they act as true assistants to the property managers, which, the property manager is kind of like having an assistant.
Yeah, that's one of the in vogue designs right now. You talk with Adam Hooley from LPMA Australia. He came over and did a presentation or two here with the NARPM community, and he talks about the squad concept. So the squad concept is you have 1 lead and potentially 2 assistant portfolio managers, property managers, whatever. So that's your little, that's your alpha squad. And I really like that concept. It does fit into a lot of business models, and it really kind of depends on what folks think is right for their particular market. I like the assistant portfolio manager concept. So keep going with some others out there that we haven't even thought of.
Well, the marketing role has been huge for us. Marketing, and that marketing person is so detail oriented that we have, that she also makes all of our processes and procedures really beautiful. So we walk her through a process and procedure over Google Hangouts, and then she makes it all pretty for us in Sweet Process. And so our documentation has never been better since we hired her for both marketing and this process improvement. And she organizes everything. She's an engineer by trade. And so, man, she just gets it. And you don't have to go over it a million times. You just go over it once, and it's like perfect.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Well done. All right. So this has been a really good, discussion on this. So obviously the burning question next would be, how do they reach you? Because I'm so in love with this concept. I am ready to sign up whatever you got. So how does somebody reach you, Gwen?
Well, I'm on Facebook at Gwenn W. Aspen. And as well, we have a website, of course, anequim.net, ANEQUIM.net. And if you go there, and we also have to mention the Brad price, right? Like if you hear this podcast and you like our services, if you just tell me that Brad sent you here or use the word Brad, we will give you $250 off of your initial $1,000 payment.
I like it.
Deposit. So that's the Brad price. So $250 off your deposit.
I think you're going to get a lot of traction from this podcast because this has been a very hot topic on some of the Facebook pages, and everyone seems to be talking about this. This is the new trend for the industry. It's kind of like a disruptor, but not really a disruptor because it's an enhancer. If anytime you can get your labor costs down, because our business is so labor intensive, 40, 50% of your revenue is spent on labor. Anytime you can work to enhance your business and control your labor costs even better, just makes for a more profitable, well-run company that allows you to hire more and expand more and do better things, provide better service. So it really is kind of a healthy circle there in the whole thing. So Gwenn, really appreciate you coming on. This has been an excellent podcast. This has been a very hot topic. Any parting words for us at this point?
Oh, it was just my pleasure to be here. And I just have to say, it's just been so much fun working with people from Mexico. It's really added a lot to my life, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm just love to pass it on to others. So yeah, give me a call and get the Brad discount.
I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it to you guys. I've endorsed you guys on all over the pages that we have. Would extremely recommend people contacting you to hire folks inside the Mexico airspace there. Airspace is a bad word, but that whole realm. So Gwenn, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it. Been a great episode. All right. Thanks and take care.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Brad.
This episode of the Property Management Mastermind Show is sponsored by Mark Cunningham of Grace Property Management. Now, Mark has created some amazing products for property management companies. We have implemented his systems and his business income streams into our business here, and I can personally recommend them. If you're in the property management business, I encourage you to visit their website, as you'll definitely find a product that will improve your business. I know Mark personally, and just a small investment to pick up one of his golden nuggets could earn you a return many times over. To learn more, go to propertymanagementsystem.org. Again, propertymanagementsystem.org. And to get a 10% discount on all of Mark's products, use the promo code BRAD, B-R-A-D.
This has been a podcast episode by PropertyManagementProductions.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast, leave us feedback, and come back for our next episode.